started with a spoon, just an ordinary silver teaspoon, worth almost nothing to anyone else, but it was mine. I had used it almost every morning since the day I got married. At first, my husband and I assumed we had simply misplaced it. We searched the entire kitchen. We opened every drawer, moved the dishes, checked under the cabinets. Nothing. The spoon was gone. The next morning, our wedding photograph disappeared. The frame was still hanging on the living room wall, but the photograph inside was gone. Whoever had taken it hadn't simply removed the picture. They had carefully cut around our faces. We stood there for several minutes, staring at the empty frame, unable to understand how anyone could have done it without us noticing. A week later, my gold earrings disappeared. That was when my husband installed cameras. We thought someone was breaking into the house, but the recordings showed nothing. Every night, the cameras captured the same empty rooms. No people, no shadows, no doors opening. And yet, every morning, another object was simply gone. It was as if something was erasing them from reality. My 10-year-old daughter, Lyra, was the first person to admit that something was wrong. She started waking up in the middle of the night, saying she could hear something moving inside her closet. I would open the doors. There was nothing there. "Mom, it's still in there," she would whisper. "It just doesn't want you to see it." One evening, our neighbor overheard us talking. She looked at me seriously. "It's a house spirit," she said. I laughed. She didn't. "Or something worse. Sometimes they don't take things because they're valuable," she continued. "They take things because they carry memories." After that, we tried everything. Salt around the doors, iron beneath the beds, holy water in every corner, leaving the lights on all night. Nothing worked. The guest came back every night, took my favorite mug, then my father's old belt, then Lyra's diary, which she had kept since first grade. Every disappearance left behind the same strange feeling. It wasn't just an object that was missing. It felt like part of our lives had been removed with it, like something was slowly biting pieces out of our family. Then my husband found a solution. He discovered an old internet forum where people discussed rituals for dealing with things that weren't supposed to exist. There was one ritual in particular. It was pagan, dark. It mentioned blood, the names of the dead, and objects connected to someone's past. I wanted nothing to do with it, but Lyra had stopped sleeping. She was afraid to be alone, even during the day. So we agreed. At midnight, we turned off all the lights. My husband drew a strange symbol on the floor with charcoal. We lit several candles. Then he began reading words he had copied from the forum. I didn't understand a single one. At the end, he placed the spoon in the center of the circle. The same spoon that had disappeared weeks earlier. We had found it in the basement. It was lying there in a place we had searched several times before. My husband set it on fire. And that's when something happened that I still can't explain. The flame turned blue. For several seconds, the entire house seemed to shake. Not the walls, not the floor, the air itself. Then everything stopped. The pressure in the house disappeared. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe normally. That night, Lyra slept peacefully. The next day was normal. Then another. A week passed. Nothing disappeared. We thought it was over. On the 8th day, I found Lyra standing in the hallway. She was barefoot. She was staring into an empty corner. Tears were running down her face. "He came back, Mom." I walked toward her. "Who?" She slowly looked at me. "But now he isn't taking things." She pointed toward the floor. "He's returning them." In the corner was the spoon. The same spoon, except now it was broken in half. There was a dark stain around the broken edge. It looked like dried blood. The next morning, the wedding photograph returned. First, I was relieved. Then I looked closer. My husband and I were smiling in the picture, but our eyes had been replaced by tiny black dots, like someone had burned holes through the photograph with a needle. That night, I woke up because I could hear someone breathing near my head. I didn't move. The breathing was slow, heavy. Right beside me, I opened my eyes. Nobody was there, but on the nightstand was Lyra's mug. The same mug that had disappeared weeks earlier. It was full, but it wasn't filled with water. There was a thick, dark liquid inside, and it smelled like iron. That's when I understood. We hadn't gotten rid of it. We had angered it. The ritual hadn't closed the door. It had opened one. And now the things coming back weren't just objects. They were our fears, our nightmares, our thoughts, everything we'd spent years hiding from ourselves. The next morning, my husband didn't come down for breakfast. I found him sitting in the corner of our bedroom. He was staring at the wall. He was holding a photograph. "I didn't want to do it," he kept whispering. I stepped closer. The photograph showed my husband standing over someone with an axe in his hands. I had never seen that photograph before. It shouldn't have existed. "What is this?" My husband didn't answer. He just kept repeating the same words. "I didn't want to do it." Then Lyra walked over to me. She looked completely calm. Too calm. "He said we're ungrateful," she whispered. "Who?" She looked toward the dark corner of the room. "The guest." My stomach tightened. "What did he say?" Lyra lowered her voice. "He said he was taking our bad thoughts so we could be happy." Couldn't move. "And now," she looked back at me, "now they're all ours again." After that, the house changed. We heard footsteps in empty rooms. Sometimes something moved inside the mirrors. Doors opened by themselves. And the objects that had disappeared began returning. But they never came back the way they had left. They were broken, damaged, changed. It was as if every object brought something else back with it. The broken spoon, the photograph with the black eyes, the mug filled with dark liquid, Lyra's diary. One night, we opened the diary and found pages that hadn't been there before. One page contained only a few words. "You asked me to leave." And underneath, "Now I won't." That's when I finally understood. We hadn't been living with a ghost. The guest was a reflection of everything hidden inside us. It had taken our fears, our darkest thoughts, our worst memories. It had made us feel better by carrying the things we refused to face. And we had mistaken it for a monster, so we tried to drive it away. Now there was no barrier left. We heard it at night. Sometimes it whispered from the closet, sometimes from the bathroom, sometimes its voice came from Lyra's room. But the worst part was the objects. Every object it returned seemed to bring a piece of the past with it. The broken spoon, the photograph with the black eyes, the mug filled with something that wasn't water, the diary containing memories that had never happened. We stopped calling the house ours, because slowly we realized the truth. We weren't the owners anymore. We were the guests, and the real owner had only just begun to wake up. Every morning, it returned another piece of everything we had spent years trying to forget.